Thanks.
So let's go to Michel Reilhac, our next guest. After 10 years as commissioning editor for films at Arte France and CEO of Arte France Cinema, co-producing 28 independent feature films from all over the world, Michel Reilhac has now chosen to write and direct his own interactive stories and projects, and he will present some today to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before I talk about specific examples, I wanted to go back to something that has been alluded to in the previous works, which is really the notion of how we have changed our perception of reality and what does the word mean now as opposed to what it used to mean. In a way, the way we still conceive of reality is as opposed to fiction. It's no longer the way we see it. For instance, when we opposed the notion of reality to fiction, it was because we consider that everything that is physically verifiable, anything that is based on facts, is true and therefore real. And everything that was based on imagination, on in a virtual nature, was basically false, therefore was not part of reality. Well, that has changed with the impact of the virtual dimension through the internet. We now know that the perception, particularly with young people, of what is real is actually made up of different dimensions. And for those young adults who spend hours, sometimes days and nights, non-stop, playing online games, to them, the identity that they have, the avatar that they play under in those games is far more real than the touchable physical world. And you know that some of them actually die from forgetting to take care of their physical self after days on end of playing without sleeping, drinking, or eating. They just die of dehydration, and there are more and more of those happening. So truly, the notion of reality has become multi-layered. Dorothy, you were talking about the word tier when you were looking for the name of Mattia. This is really what it relates to, and everything that has been said relates to this notion that now we have a choice to experience reality both on an online virtual dimension, which has become just as involving and that feels just as real as the physical world. That being said, we are starting to see signs in our own lives of the fact that we're getting a little bit tired of having to interface with reality through screens, and that the online dimension of our experience with reality is becoming more frustrating as we spend more time online, and we start feeling the need to find a new balance between the physical dimension of our experience and the virtual dimension of it. And for that, we start craving fuller experiences. I'd like to share with you the clip that Marco, you alluded to earlier. This is a clip made by Coca-Cola that was, to my knowledge, never shown publicly. I think you will understand what I mean by this, and I find interesting that a company like Coca-Cola deals with this same issue.
Social media is great. It connects you to the world and the people you love. You can chat with your family or share a meal with friends and watch cute little cats do unbelievable things.
Look, she sticks her head out of the box.
Look, she sticks her head out of the box. But there are times when social media can get in the way of the real world. Remember that? It's the thing that happens when you run out of battery. That's why we've developed the Social Media Guard. It takes the social out of media and puts it back into your life. Let's see how it works.
and Space Odyssey on the evolution of mankind.
The social media guard.
So it's interesting that it's such a big corporation as Coca-Cola would take that into account in its communication strategy. The same way a study has been done by a college, a sociology college in Israel, the Shankar College, on the new evolution of our relationship to social media. And you know that we are confronted with a phase in social media where people are dropping out more and more from the big social networks such as Facebook and even Twitter has started experiencing this to migrate to smaller and more niche and more specialized networks. This film that I'd like to share with you is a visualization that has been done on how social networking may create loneliness.
A simple thought. Monkeys, that are known to have a developed social life, organize in small groups of several dozen members. The size of each of these groups is limited. In order for them to function, all members of the group need to know each other well. The average size of the group changes from 20 to 50 members. When the number of monkeys in a group passes a certain threshold, a social order crumbles, and the group tends to split into two separate groups. A similar situation can be found amongst humans as well. The invention of language and gossip has helped us shape larger and more stable groups. Sociological research indicates that the maximum natural size of a group of humans is roughly 150 members. Most humans are just incapable of intimately knowing more than 150 people, so even today the threshold of human organization is around the number of 150 members. Man is a social creature, and the feeling of loneliness can drive him mad, yet the Western and modern world sanctions individuality. The individual is measured by personal achievements, such as having a career, wealth, a self-image, and consumerism. In this course of action, many people lose their social and familial connections in favor of a self-actualization ideal. As the social fabric in the Western world weakens, it is not surprising that more and more people define themselves as lonely, and thus, loneliness has become the most common ailment of the modern world. One of the possible reasons for this ailment is the online social network. In a world where time is money, in which our surroundings heavily pressure us to achieve more and more, our social life becomes tainted and more demanding than ever before. And then there's technology, simpler, hopeful, optimistic, ever young. We become addicted to virtual romance, disguised by the social network which supplies an impressive platform that allows us to manage our social life most effectively. However, our fantasies about substitutions are starting to take a toll. We're collecting friends like stamps, not distincting quantity versus quality, and converting the deep meaning and intimacy of friendship with exchanging photos and chat conversations. By doing so, we're sacrificing conversation for mere connection, and so a paradoxical situation is created, in which we claim to have many friends while actually being lonely. So what is the problem in having a conversation? Well, it takes place in real time, and you can't control what you're going to say. And that is the bottom line. Texting, email, posting, all of these things let us present the self as we want it to be. We get to edit, and that means we get to delete. Instead of building true friendships, we're obsessed with endless personal promotion, investing hours on end building our profile, pursuing the optimal order of words in our next message, choosing the pictures in which we look our best, all of which is meant to serve as a desirable image of who we are. We're expecting more from technology and less from each other. The social networks aren't just changing what we're doing, but also who we are. And that's because technology appeals to us most where we are most vulnerable. And we are vulnerable. We are lonely, or we're afraid of intimacy, while the social networks offer us three gratifying fantasies. One, that we can put our attention wherever we want it to be. Two, that we will always be heard. And three, that we will never have to be alone. And that third idea, that we will never have to be alone, is central to changing our psyches. It's shaping a new way of being. The best way to describe it is, I share, therefore I am. We use technology to define ourselves by sharing our thoughts and feelings even as we're having them. Furthermore, we're faking experiences so we'll have something to share, so we can feel alive. We slip into thinking that always being connected is going to make us feel less alone, but we are at risk because the opposite is true. If we are not able to be alone, we're only going to know how to be lonely.
So, the point that I'm trying to make with this is obviously not to drop being online, not to stop doing social networking, not to abandon all the virtual dimension of our lives that have become so essential to how we live and relate to one another. But it's about finding a balance where we can find a new way of organizing our lives between the physical dimension of our experiences and the virtual dimension of them. So in doing so, my point is that in the storytelling mix, in the different platforms that we consider using today in telling our stories, we should also look at the physical, real dimension of the experience that the telling a story has become. The deep trend in this is to build story worlds, like it has been said, that are not products, like was said, but that are experiences, that are processes, and therefore that are worlds to which I can go anytime I want. A story, like it's been said with Maptia, for instance, becomes a place where I can go and see and share and exchange and see differences every time I go and get fuller experiences. A study has been made, which I'm just giving you the reference for, about the future of storytelling. And the first conclusion that was made with this study is that the physical dimension of any story into the world, whether it's through live experiences, through games, through geolocalized experiences, we can expand the notion of a story experience. They will be told 24/7, meaning that they are permanent worlds that we can go to, listen to stories, get involved in them, and share them. There is also, of course, this trend that the power of stories becoming such, we can use them to change the world and to make the world a better place. Just a few examples I wanted to share to make my point. One example that I like is how a flash mob in real life can be used as an entry point into a documentary. The documentary this flash mob was about plastic waste. I'll translate the French information. This took place in Quebec. Each year, 671 million kilos of plastic are produced in the world. Each year, 400 million containers are recycled in Quebec. There are 18,000 pieces of plastic that float on each square kilometer on the ocean. This flash mob has changed the behavior of almost every people who have seen it. This video went viral on the internet, and I have so many friends around me, or people I don't know, but I meet again, who have told me after seeing this that they cannot ever again see a plastic bottle on the floor without picking it up and putting it in the container, because the main problem that the documentary is showing is the fact that the main problem of plastic waste is the collection. And if the plastic waste we produce was collected, systematically, the problem would be dealt with, because we could recycle all the plastic. This is a project I'm working on right now. It's called Cinema City, and it's an app, a free app for your smartphone on Android or the Apple apps. It's an app that allows you to see excerpts, scenes from movies when you find yourself in a city at the exact spot where that scene was shot from. It works right now in its beta version in Paris, and we're currently franchising it to Berlin. It will open in February, and in New York and Montreal. This is a little clip showing what it is.
Cinema City geolocalizes film excerpts throughout Paris, precisely where they were shot. Different walks are available to users, enabling them to discover the city through the lens of cinema. Cinema City is also a creation lab, which produces original fiction walks on a neighborhood scale, split into 5 episodes. In order to discover the complete story, users are invited to walk from one episode to the next.
Merci, Quasimodo.
You may also express your talent by sending in your own Swedish version of a film scene shot in Paris. This is your own remake, made with what's available at hand. More newspapers will be posted in the city to walk pedestrians through Cinema City. Several publications will be printed in different neighborhoods, in French and in English, enabling everyone to discover the city's intimate story, along with little-known film shoot anecdotes. Cinema City is a free experience aimed at film and city lovers alike, available in English, French and German. Cinema City is co-produced by Arte and the studio Smallband, in partnership with the Paris City Hall, the Forum des Images, the support of the CNC, and our first VOD platforms.
The app was launched in its beta version last summer and will be relaunched in its final version with a completely new interface at the end of this year. And one last example I wanted to give, I could go on for hours because this is very much my passion. It's a treasure hunt that I organized a month ago in Paris for the Museum of Quai Branly. It's the Museum of Primitive Art, very close to the Eiffel Tower, and they have an exhibition which is about the Indians from the Central Plains in America. Can we bring the sound down? The sound? Do I control the sound? Or can we take it down? I do it here. Thank you. As you're watching the images, what we did is that to illustrate the exhibition, they wanted me to design an interactive event with almost no money in Paris to involve people in an interactive way. We decided to have a ghost herd of buffaloes cross Paris through very large screenings on public buildings made up of vintage archival images from the 1920s on free buffaloes roaming the plains of the United States, as if the spirit of all those millions of buffaloes that were killed by the federal government of the United States in the 19th century to make sure they would marginalize the buffaloes, the Indians, by basically eliminating their source of food and also the source of their mythology. Which is what happened, and then the Indians were put in reservations. So we wanted to pay tribute to this connection that the Indians had with the buffaloes. And as we showed those videos, we gave business cards to people, and there were thousands of people who watched them, with a Twitter feed that they could go to, and the Twitter gave them indication on the fact that every place where the video was projected, there was a trace that they needed to find, and they needed to, and the trace was this one, and they needed to photograph this buffalo head with the little red thing on the side, which was a mystery sign that they needed to photograph, send back to the Twitter thread, and those who got all the signs were invited to a special party at the exhibition where the Indian spirit that had done the Twitter feed was there, and they could whisper the saying that was the result of the game to his ear, and three of them won a 3-day stay in a buffalo farm in eastern France where they could feed and take care of buffaloes for 3 days. So my conclusion about this, and this is based on just very, very few examples, is like it has been said, is that the engagement, the value, the emotional dimension of the reason why any one of us would get involved with a story as an experience is really made of very simple, eternal reasons which have to do with simplicity, with game, with playfulness, and with poetic interaction. And this is what we are. Like you said, Dorothy, telling stories is really what makes us human. And I think in being human, we need to remember that it is about solidarity, sharing, and caring for each other. And I believe very strongly that stories as experiences are made up of that. They are a stage for remembering that we are in a solidarity relationship. Thank you very much.
I love this idea that through technology you can improve your relationship with places and urban landscape and I remember when some critics in the past say, for instance, that Google Maps would weaken our relationship with places, because if you don't have to remember roads and direction, so you can lose the interaction, the relationship with places. But we can see that is the opposite.
Yeah, well, definitely, but it's true also that relying on Google Maps to find your way is the best way to not find it and to get lost. It has happened to me. I have a very good sense of orientation, and I'm losing it because I'm depending too much on those things. But it is very true that the maps that are available and the systems that are available online are an amazing opportunity to connect together in a different way. And like it's been said over and over again today, it's not our enemy, it's our friend, as long as we lose the fascination for the tool that it really is. We just need to use it as a tool and master it. Don't let it overwhelm us with the newness of it and the playfulness of it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.